Welcome to my channel, Gender Swap. My ex's dare made me her sister's maid flushed face. I never imagined that a single dare meant to be a petty joke between exes would spiral into something so humiliating, thrilling, and transformative. My name is Lucas Carter. I'm 22, living a quiet life in a shared apartment just outside of Portland, Oregon. I work remotely as a junior software developer for a mid-sized tech firm, which gives me a lot of alone time, maybe too much. To most people, I'm forgettable, quiet, introverted. I'm not the kind of guy who makes waves or draws attention. But what they don't know is that I've been carrying a secret, something even I can't fully explain. I've always had a strange fascination with femininity. It started when I was 12 and tried on my sister's tights out of curiosity. The rush, the guilt, the strange sense of comfort. It never left me. Over the years, it became a private escape. Makeup tutorials at 2 a.m. dresses ordered online and hidden in boxes under my bed. A wig carefully brushed and stored in the back of my closet. Still, I never let it interfere with my real life. At least not until Emma. Emma wasn't just my girlfriend. She was the first person who made me feel like I mattered. We dated for 2 years in college. She was fiery, confident, wildly unpredictable, and way out of my league. We met in a literature class and bonded over a shared love of twisted fiction. But where I was awkward and soft-spoken, she was bold and fearless. I was drawn to her like a moth to flame. And eventually, like most moths, I got burned. Our breakup was messy. She said I lacked passion and accused me of hiding something. Maybe she sensed something I was too scared to admit, even to myself. The truth is, I never had the courage to tell her about the clothes, about the nights I'd lock my door and transform into someone softer, prettier, more free. We hadn't spoken in almost 6 months. And then last week, out of nowhere, she texted me, "Up for a dare, looky," or "Are you still too scared to have fun?" I should have ignored it. I should have deleted the message and moved on. But curiosity and maybe pride got the better of me. I asked her what she meant. What she sent next changed everything. Prove you've grown a backbone. Spend one day as my sister's maid. Outfit, chores, attitude, the whole package. Take pics. No tricks. Just you obeying like a good little girl one day. Or are you still boring old Lucas? Her sister Natalie was 2 years younger than us. I barely knew her. She was quiet, artsy, the kind of girl who wore cat ears unironically in high school. Last I checked, she was still living at home and taking online classes. It wasn't like I had some secret desire to serve her or anything. But Emma's words hit a nerve. Boring, spineless coward. Was that who I still was? Something inside me twisted. This wasn't just a dare. This was her way of proving I hadn't changed, of mocking me one last time. And yet, part of me was tempted. Deeply, irrationally tempted. I'd never shared my cross-dressing side with anyone. What would it feel like to be seen even if just as a joke? What would it feel like to not hide for once? I stared at the message for hours before replying. Finally, I typed 2 words. "You're on." The dare was set for Saturday. Natalie was apparently in on it. I was told to show up at their old house at noon sharp. Everything would be waiting for me. I wouldn't need to bring anything, just myself and a willingness to obey. For days, I wrestled with the decision. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. My heart would race any time I thought about showing up and actually going through with it. Was I insane? Was I letting Emma humiliate me just because I missed the thrill? Or was there something more? Saturday morning arrived too quickly. I showered, shaved everything, and stared at my reflection like I was saying goodbye to someone. I packed a small overnight bag with clean clothes for afterward, just in case. My fingers trembled as I locked the door behind me. The drive was only 20 minutes, but it felt like I was heading toward a cliff. I pulled up to the familiar 2-story house and parked outside. My palms were sweating. The curtains were drawn, but I could see a shadow moving behind them. They were waiting for me. I took a deep breath and stepped out of the car. This was it. The start of something I couldn't name yet. Something terrifying, exciting, and dangerously real. I knocked on the door. It creaked open, and there stood Natalie with a grin that made my stomach twist. Natalie leaned against the door frame, arms crossed, her smirk playful but sharp. "You actually came," she said, eyes sweeping over me like she was inspecting a package. "I said I would," I muttered, trying to sound confident, but the tremble in my voice gave me away. She tilted her head, her dark hair falling over one shoulder. She wore a pastel hoodie and plaid skirt. Casual but deliberate, like she dressed to make me feel smaller. "You always struck me as too vanilla to take a dare seriously," she said. Guess Emma was wrong. I stepped inside, my throat dry. The familiar scent of lavender and air freshener hit me. Same as I remembered from back when I'd visited with Emma. But something was different now. I wasn't here as a boyfriend anymore. I was here as whatever this was. Natalie closed the door behind me with a soft click, sealing my fate. She said, "You'd need a little help getting into character," Natalie said as she gestured toward the hallway. "Come on, let's get you dressed." My heartbeat quickened. My legs felt stiff as I followed her, my mind racing. Was she really going to make me do this? Dress up? Serve her? Could I really go through with it? The room she led me into used to be a guest bedroom. Now it looked like something out of a cosplay fantasy. On the bed lay a pristine black and white maid outfit, short, frilly with puffed sleeves and lace trim. A pair of glossy black heels stood neatly beside it. Next to those, a box of accessories, a frilly headband, a choker, thigh-high stockings, even a garter. And beneath it all, a set of breast forms, a padded panty, and a pink satin corset. I swallowed hard. "You'll change in here," Natalie said, placing her phone on the dresser and flipping the camera toward the bed. "Don't worry, Emma's not here, but she will want proof." She said it like it was nothing, like this was just some harmless prank, like she didn't realize what it meant to me, but she did know. That was the worst part. Emma had clearly told her everything. I stared at the outfit. My hands itched to touch it. "You can back out," Natalie said. "I'll just text Emma and let her know you chickened out. No big deal. Unless you actually want to try it on." Her voice carried a challenge. She was daring me now, not just to humiliate myself, but to want it. And I did. God help me, I did. "I'll do it," I said, surprising even myself. She raised an eyebrow but said nothing. Just turned and walked out of the room. The door clicked shut. I stood there for a moment, staring at the bed, at the outfit, at who I was about to become. Then slowly, like someone stepping into a dream, I began to undress. First, the breast forms cool and weighty. I slipped them into the lace bra that came with the outfit, the sensation already shifting my perception of my body. Then the padded panty tight, reshaping my figure, tucking everything away. The corset followed, and I struggled to tighten the laces until my waist felt unnaturally small. My breath came in shallow gulps. The mirror on the closet door showed a stranger. Next came the stockings, silky and sheer. I clipped them into the garter belt, then stepped into the dress. It was snug but perfectly tailored, feminine, playful. I zipped it up with trembling hands. The shoes went on last 4 inches black, heels that forced me to balance delicately. Every step was unfamiliar. Every breath felt staged. Then I saw the headband. I hesitated, then put it on. The girl in the mirror looked nervous, but undeniably pretty. I didn't hear Natalie re-enter until I felt her hand on my shoulder. Well, she whispered, circling me like a cat. "You really went all out." I flushed, unsure whether to smile or cry. She stepped in front of me, examining my work. "Not bad," she said. "But the face still says Lucas." "Sit." I obeyed, heart pounding. She pulled out a makeup kit, foundation, blush, eyeliner, mascara, lipstick. She moved with quick, confident strokes, tilting my chin when necessary. Her touch was surprisingly gentle. "Close your eyes," she said. I did. I felt the brush against my lids, the soft pull of a liner pencil, the flutter of mascara on my lashes. Then the lipstick, smooth, glossy, undeniably pink. When she told me to open my eyes, I barely recognized the person staring back. Gone was Lucas. In his place sat a delicate, rosy-cheeked maid with soft lips and sultry lashes. "That's better," Natalie said, satisfied. She picked up her phone and snapped a photo before I could protest. "Emma will love this." I stood slowly, wobbling slightly in heels. "Now," Natalie said, her tone shifting from playful to commanding. "It's time to earn your keep. Maid duties, remember?" She handed me a pink feather duster. "You'll start with the living room. Dust every surface. And if I catch you slacking," she leaned close, lips brushing my ear, "I'll post these pictures where everyone can see." My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just a game anymore. I nodded, gripping the duster, my cheeks burning. And so, with shaky legs and a tight corset, I tottered toward the living room. Every step a reminder of how far I was falling into her control. But beneath the fear, something stirred. Excitement. The living room was painfully ordinary. Just a coffee table, couch, bookshelf, and TV. But in that moment, it might as well have been a ballroom stage. Every creak of my heels on the hardwood floor echoed in my ears. I clutched the pink feather duster tightly, trying to focus, to steady my breath. But how could I? Every swish of lace around my thighs reminded me of what I was wearing. Every step in those glossy black heels reminded me I was someone else now, someone who didn't belong. Natalie sat cross-legged on the couch, her phone casually in hand. Watching recording, smiling. "I expect those shelves spotless Maid," she said, lifting her phone to snap another picture. Click. I shivered. I turned to the bookcase and began to dust. My reflection shimmered faintly in the dark TV screen. A figure with curves, heels, a flouncy skirt, and painted lips. I looked like a stranger, but one I was beginning to recognize. A hidden side that had been locked away for years, now dragged out into daylight by a dare. As I reached upward, my skirt lifted slightly. I quickly tugged it down, face burning, only to hear Natalie giggle behind me. "So modest," she teased. "That's cute. But if you're going to serve me, you're going to have to get used to showing off a little." I didn't reply. I didn't know how. I just kept dusting, my cheeks on fire, wishing I could disappear. And yet, I felt something strange stirring inside me. An adrenaline rush, a sick thrill. I was humiliated, sure, but I was also alive. After 20 minutes, I moved to the coffee table, bending carefully to avoid flashing too much. My balance in the heels was still shaky, but I managed to keep from falling. As I wiped the surface with a soft cloth, I heard Natalie speak again. "Do you like it?" I froze. "What?" She stood, stepping behind me. "This," she said, fingers brushing the hem of my dress. The outfit, the attention, being a pretty little maid. I turned to face her, unsure what expression I wore. I didn't think I would. "But you do." I hesitated. She tilted her head. "Emma said you had secrets, that you liked dressing up, that you were too scared to show anyone who you really were." My chest tightened. "She told you everything." "Not everything," Natalie said, stepping closer. "But enough. And honestly, I think this suits you." I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to breathe. This wasn't just a prank anymore. This was exposure and acceptance and judgment, all wrapped into one. She reached out and adjusted the choker around my neck. "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. As long as you keep being obedient." I swallowed hard and nodded. "That's what I thought," she said, smirking. "Now let's try something more challenging." She walked out of the room and returned moments later holding a tray. It had a tall glass of water, a plate of cookies, and a small folded note. "You're going to serve this to me properly," she said. "On your knees." With a smile, like the good little maid you're pretending to be. I blinked. "What?" She tilted the tray toward me. "Take it." Hands shaking. I accepted it. The glass wobbled dangerously as I lowered myself to my knees, trying to maintain balance. My corset dug into my ribs. The skirt flared around me. "Smile," Natalie said, sitting back down on the couch and crossing her legs. I forced a grin, though it felt more like a grimace. She took the tray from my hands and set it beside her. "Good. Now say it." "Say what?" Her eyes sparkled. Say, your maid is here to serve you, Miss Natalie. My heart pounded. This was too far. Too humiliating. Too. Or I can just text Emma the photos now, she said sweetly, holding up her phone. I stared at her, then down at my hands, my painted nails, the frilly sleeves. My voice came out a whisper. Your maid is here to serve you, Miss Natalie. Her smile widened like a cat who'd caught her mouse. There's hope for you yet, she said, picking up a cookie. As she munched contentedly, I stayed kneeling, unsure if I was allowed to stand. My knees ached, my pride screamed. But something deeper, darker, coiled inside me. A need to obey, to disappear into this role, to escape Lucas just for a while. Why are you doing this? I asked quietly. Natalie glanced at me. Because Emma dared you, and because I think you want this more than you're willing to admit. She wasn't wrong. She set the cookie down, then pulled out her phone again. One last thing for now. Crawl over here. I hesitated. Come on. Maids don't walk unless they're told to. I dropped my head and crawled toward her, the rug rough under my knees, my skirt swaying. She snapped a photo the moment I reached her. Click. Perfect, she said. I sat back on my heels, dizzy from shame, from heat, from something I didn't understand. She leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Welcome to day one." I was still kneeling in the middle of Natalie's living room floor when the doorbell rang. Ding dong. The sound cut through the air like a knife. My head snapped up. Natalie froze, cookie halfway to her mouth. "Wait here," she whispered sharply, slipping her phone into her hoodie and heading for the door. Her sudden tension made my stomach lurch. I scrambled to my feet, wobbling in the heels, instinctively smoothing down the frills of my skirt as panic surged through me. Who would be ringing the doorbell? No one was supposed to come. Natalie promised it would be just us, that no one would see me like this. I ducked behind the couch, heart hammering, barely breathing as I heard the front door creak open. "Hey," a familiar voice said. No, 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 no. My heart nearly stopped. That voice. I knew that voice. Emma. She wasn't supposed to be here. Natalie didn't say anything. Not right away. Just the awkward shuffle of feet. And then I thought we agreed. "You just watch," Natalie hissed. "I changed my mind," Emma replied casually. "I wanted to see the results myself." Footsteps. Getting closer. I sank lower behind the couch, every inch of my exposed skin prickling with dread. My wig itched. The corset tightened. The heels throbbed in rhythm with my pulse. I heard the door close. "Well," Emma said, her voice like sugar and venom. "Where's our little princess?" Natalie let out a sigh. Behind the couch, hiding. I felt seen naked. My stomach dropped. "You can come out now, looky," Emma cooed. "I didn't move, or I'll start knocking on your front door next time," she added with a bite. "Want to see what your neighbors think of you in a dress?" I stood slowly, legs shaking, and peeked over the couch. There she was, Emma. Beautiful, dangerous, wearing a red leather jacket, tight jeans, and a grin that could rip open old wounds. She stared at me like a queen inspecting a jester. And I must have looked ridiculous. Face fully made up, wearing a frilly maid dress and heels, knees wobbling. "Well," she said, smirking, "you really are my little maid now, huh?" Emma took slow, deliberate steps toward me, her heels clicking like punctuation on polished hardwood. I couldn't meet her gaze. My cheeks burned as I stood fully exposed in the middle of the living room, dressed like a doll, trapped in a fantasy I never meant anyone to see, least of all her. She circled me like a predator. "So this is the real Lucas," she said softly. "No more boring polos and stiff jeans. No more pretending to be something you're not." I swallowed hard. "This wasn't supposed to be for you." "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered, brushing a strand of synthetic hair away from my cheek. "Everything you hide eventually comes to the surface, especially the delicious little secrets." Natalie sat back down on the couch, legs tucked under her, watching like an amused spectator. "You dared me," I muttered, trying to sound defiant. "I did what you asked." Emma raised an eyebrow. "You obeyed. You mean you could have said no?" You could have blocked my number, but instead she gestured to my outfit. You shaved your legs, put on makeup, and came here to be my sister's pretty little maid. That's not just obedience, Lucas. That's submission. The word hit like a slap. I shook my head, mouth dry. It wasn't like that, wasn't it? Emma's voice dropped lower. Dangerously sweet. You wanted this. You needed this. You've always needed someone to take control, haven't you? My breath caught. I hated how much truth there was in her words. I stood there helplessly, corseted, padded, dolled up, while my ex-girlfriend peeled back the layers of my shame like an onion. She turned to Natalie. Did you make her curtsy yet? Natalie grinned. Not yet. Emma looked back at me. Well, go on then. What curtsy? She said, folding her arms. You know how, right? You've clearly practiced this. Let's see it. I stood frozen, heart racing. Unless you'd rather I start streaming this conversation live to your classmates, she added. I've got your old college Discord saved, remember? I blinked, stunned. She wouldn't, would she? My knees bent. I gave a stiff, awkward curtsy. The skirt puffed as I dipped, my hands clutching the hem. I felt like I was outside my own body. Natalie laughed. Emma smiled. That's better, she said. But you can do it again. This time with grace. A real maid knows how to move like a lady. So I did it again and again until the shame stopped making my stomach twist and instead left something warm and strange in my chest. Emma sat down beside her sister, legs crossed. Now that we've established your role, she said, we're going to play a little game. I didn't move. She snapped her fingers down. On your knees again. I obeyed, the heels clicking behind me as I dropped, skirts spilling around me like a puddle of satin. Good maid, she said, voice low and commanding. You'll serve us for the rest of the afternoon. Chores, tea, foot rubs, maybe. My head snapped up. What? Oh. And if you do it well, she grinned. We might not post the pictures online. Natalie added. And if you don't do well, we'll pick the best one and use it as your new Facebook profile pic. Sound fair? Tears pricked the corners of my eyes. My whole body felt like it was vibrating with tension, adrenaline, fear, and the sick, buried part of me that wanted to say yes. I nodded. Emma's voice dropped to a whisper, dark and silky. Say it. Say what? Say. I'm your obedient maid, Miss Emma. My lips trembled. Natalie raised her phone again. Flash, ready. I'm your obedient maid, Miss Emma, I whispered. Click. And just like that, I gave her the last piece of control. By evening, I was exhausted, physically and emotionally drained in ways I'd never experienced before. My feet throbbed in the heels. My corset had left red lines across my skin. My makeup was smudged, but neither Emma nor Natalie had allowed me to clean it up. I wasn't Lucas anymore. Not today. I was Lucy, their obedient little maid. I had dusted shelves, served drinks, painted Natalie's toenails, and even folded laundry, blushing furiously as I sorted her underwear. I should have felt humiliated. And I did. But the worst part, a part of me felt something else. Safe, exposed, yes, owned, maybe, but also seen. Some twisted part of me had always wanted this. Not to be laughed at, but to be acknowledged, to stop hiding. I stood quietly near the kitchen, listening to Emma and Natalie talk in the living room. Their voices were low, conspiratorial, amused. She really did it, Natalie whispered. Emma laughed. Oh, she loved it. You saw her face. I flinched. She. They were already switching pronouns for me. Was it mockery or something deeper? I turned toward the mirror above the kitchen sink. My reflection was unrecognizable. Pink cheeks, painted lips, a bow in my wig, and eyes wide with confusion. Who was I? A knock came at the front door. All three of us froze. Knock, knock, knock. Emma looked at Natalie. Did you invite anyone else? Natalie shook her head, expression paling. No. I thought it was just us. Knock, knock. 3 heavy pounds this time. I backed into the corner, nearly slipping in my heels. My heart felt like it was about to beat out of my corset. Emma motioned for silence and moved toward the door cautiously, peeking through the curtain. Her expression changed. "Oh," she whispered.
"What?"
I hissed. She looked at me, then to Natalie, then back at me. "It's your mom." My blood ran cold. "No," I whispered. She can't see me like this." Emma looked half amused, half panicked. "Too late. She's already seen your car in the driveway." "Let me change," I begged, trying to reach behind my back to unzip the dress. "Not enough time," Natalie said, eyes wide. The doorknob turned. I gasped. Emma spun around, grabbed my hand, and yanked me behind the kitchen island.
"Hide.
Don't make a sound." I crouched behind the counter, barely breathing. My dress crinkled. My heels clicked softly against the tiles. The door creaked open. "Lucas," my mother's voice called out. "Are you here?" "Your landlord said you might be staying here. We need to talk." Footsteps entered the house. My lungs screamed for air. I heard her walk into the living room. Emma's voice came out calm and smooth. "Hi, Mrs. Carter. Lucas is in the bathroom." "Oh, I'll wait." "No, he said he was heading out." "Maybe you missed him." Silence. Footsteps closer now, heading toward the kitchen. My mom's voice closer. "I know he's here. His shoes are by the door. I just want to see him." I squeezed my eyes shut. My wig felt like it was slipping. My lips were dry. My hands trembled against the tile. And then Lucas, I opened my eyes. My mother was standing in the kitchen doorway staring down at me. And I was on the floor in a maid dress. Wig, makeup, choker, heels, everything. Her mouth fell open. "What are you wearing?" I couldn't speak. The room spun. I opened my mouth to explain, and then the screen went